Formula One cars are incredible engineering marvels that can reach blistering speeds of over 200 miles per hour. When these powerful machines weighing 1,600 pounds hurtle around dangerous racetracks at absolutely breakneck speeds, the margin for error is razor thin. One small mistake, one tiny miscalculation, can turn a racing car into a deadly projectile, creating some of the most terrifying and spectacular crashes in motorsport history. Today, we're taking you through 7 of the absolute wildest Formula One crashes that left fans around the world holding their breath in complete shock. These aren't just ordinary accidents. They're death-defying moments that showcase both the incredible dangers of Formula One racing and the remarkable safety advances that have saved countless precious lives. From cars splitting in half and bursting into massive flames, to drivers walking away from impacts that should have been absolutely fatal, these crashes will leave you completely amazed. So buckle up tight and prepare yourself, because we're about to witness some of the most absolutely unbelievable and heart-stopping moments in Formula One history. Romain Grosjean, Bahrain 2020, the Phoenix rising from flames. November 29, 2020 started like any other race day at the Bahrain Grand Prix. But within seconds of the race beginning, Formula One witnessed something it hadn't seen in decades. A car piercing through a safety barrier and erupting into a massive fireball. On the opening lap, French driver Romain Grosjean made contact with Daniel Kvyat's AlphaTauri. The impact sent Grosjean's car careening off the racing line at incredible speed. His car slammed into the metal safety barrier at 119 miles per hour with a force of 67 Gs. That's 67 times the force of gravity. The impact was so violent that it literally ripped the car in half. But the worst was yet to come. Fuel from the destroyed car gushed everywhere, and within seconds, the entire crash site erupted into a massive fireball. Flames shot high into the air as the car became completely engulfed. For 28 agonizing seconds, no one could see Grosjean. Inside that fireball, Grosjean was fighting for his life. He tried to get out, but found his safety belts were stuck. As the fire raged around him, he could see his racing gloves starting to melt. For a brief moment, he accepted that he might die. "I think about my kids," Grosjean later said.
My kids, and I said, no, I cannot die today. For my kids, I cannot die. I've got to see them.
And they cannot lose their dad today. That thought gave him the strength to keep fighting. He punched through his headrest with his helmet and pulled his foot so hard that his shoe stayed trapped in the wreckage. Then, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, Grosjean emerged from the flames, missing a shoe and a glove, covered in soot, but incredibly, miraculously alive. He had survived what should have been a fatal crash thanks to the carbon fiber safety cell and the halo device that deflected the metal barrier away from his head. Robert Kubica, Canada 2007, the 75G nightmare. If you think Grosjean's crash was violent, wait until you hear about Robert Kubica at the 2007 Canadian Grand Prix. This crash was so brutal that it's amazing Kubica not only survived, but returned to racing. It was lap 27 at Montreal's circuit Yale-Villeneuve. Kubica's BMW Sauber made contact with Jarno Trulli's Toyota, sending Kubica's car veering off the track at 143 miles per hour, heading straight for a concrete wall. The impact was absolutely devastating. Kubica hit the wall with a force of 75 Gs, even more than Grosjean's crash. The impact was so violent that Kubica's car bounced off the wall and flew back onto the racetrack, where it began barrel rolling across the circuit. As the car tumbled and flipped, pieces flew everywhere. The front of the car was completely destroyed, so badly that you could actually see Kubica's feet sticking out through what used to be the nose. The vehicle looked less like a racing car and more like a pile of carbon fiber scraps. When the car finally came to rest on its side against the barrier, marshals rushed to the scene. The sight was horrifying. The car was barely recognizable. Everyone feared the worst. But incredibly, when they extracted Kubica from the wreckage, he was conscious and talking. The man who had just experienced one of the most violent crashes in Formula One history walked away with just a sprained ankle and a concussion. What makes this story even more remarkable is what happened exactly 1 year later. Kubica returned to the same circuit in Montreal and won his first and only Formula One Grand Prix. From one of the worst crashes in F1 history to victory at the same track, it's one of the greatest comeback stories in motorsport. Fernando Alonso, Australia 2016, the barrel roll spectacular. The 2016 Australian Grand Prix gave us one of the most spectacular crashes in recent Formula One history. Alonso was racing down one of the fastest sections when he collided with Esteban Gutierrez's Haas car at over 186 miles per hour. The impact launched Alonso's McLaren into the air like a rocket. What happened next was both terrifying and mesmerizing. Alonso's car began barrel rolling through the air in what seemed like slow motion. The car flipped completely upside down, then right side up, then upside down again. Alonso later described the surreal experience. Then you see the ground, then you see the sky, then you see the ground again. The crash registered 45 Gs of force. Imagine being pressed into your seat with the weight of 45 people sitting on top of you. The car eventually slammed into the gravel trap after completing multiple full rotations in midair. When the car finally stopped, there was a moment of terrifying silence. Medical teams rushed to the scene and fans around the world held their breath. Then, to everyone's relief, Alonso began moving. Despite the incredible violence of the crash, he had survived with relatively minor injuries: a mild concussion, some bruising, a collapsed lung, and a few fractured ribs. The crash became one of the most replayed moments in Formula One history. The footage of Alonso's car barrel rolling through the air is both beautiful and terrifying, a perfect example of how quickly things can go wrong in Formula One. Mark Webber, Valencia 2010, the Flying Red Bull. Mark Webber's crash at the 2010 European Grand Prix in Valencia gave new meaning to the phrase, "Red Bull gives you wings." Webber was racing when he collided with Heikki Kovalinen's Lotus. The impact sent Webber's Red Bull car airborne at 190 miles per hour. This wasn't just a small hop. The car went completely airborne, flying through the air like a missile. As the car flew, it began to flip. Webber's Red Bull somersaulted in midair, rotating completely upside down before crashing back down to earth. The car landed upside down and slid along the track, sparks flying everywhere. What made this crash even more dramatic was that it happened right in front of the grandstands. Thousands of spectators watched in horror as Webber's car flew through the air and crashed down upside down. But then something amazing happened. Webber began moving inside the cockpit. When the marshals arrived and helped flip the car back over, Webber climbed out completely unharmed. He didn't have a single injury, not even a scratch. Webber later said that the crash felt like being in a washing machine. The G-forces were so intense that he couldn't tell which way was up or down, but the safety cell did its job perfectly, protecting him from what should have been a devastating impact. Zhou Guanyu, Silverstone 2022, the upside-down slide. The 2022 British Grand Prix gave us one of the most recent additions to Formula One's collection of unbelievable crashes. At the very start of the race, there was contact between several drivers. Zhou's Alfa Romeo was caught up in the chaos and was launched into the air, flipping completely upside down. What happened next was unlike anything anyone had ever seen in Formula One. Zhou's car began sliding across the track completely upside down, with Zhou hanging from his safety harness as the car skidded along the asphalt at high speed. The car slid for what seemed like an eternity, sparks flying everywhere. The sight was absolutely terrifying. Zhou was trapped upside down in a car that was sliding uncontrollably across one of the fastest tracks in Formula One. The car eventually slid off the track and into the gravel trap, where it came to rest against the tire barriers, still upside down. For several minutes, no one could see Zhou or tell if he was okay. The entire Formula One world held its breath, fearing the worst. But when the marshals finally reached the car and extracted Zhou, he was completely unharmed. The halo device had done its job perfectly, protecting Zhou's head as the car slid upside down across the track. Zhou later said that the experience was surreal. He was hanging upside down, watching the track surface rush past just inches from his helmet, but he remained calm throughout the ordeal, trusting that the safety systems would protect him. Mika Häkkinen, Adelaide 1995, the miracle comeback. Sometimes the most incredible crashes lead to the most inspiring comebacks. Mika Häkkinen's crash at the 1995 Australian Grand Prix was so severe that it nearly ended his career before it really began. During qualifying at the Adelaide Street Circuit, a tire failure sent Häkkinen's McLaren flying into the barriers at high speed. The impact was devastating, and Häkkinen was knocked unconscious immediately. He had suffered life-threatening injuries, and his airway was blocked. In a desperate attempt to save his life, doctors performed an emergency tracheostomy right there at the trackside. For several hours, it was touch and go. Doctors weren't sure if Häkkinen would survive, let alone ever race again. Many people thought his Formula One career was over before it had really begun, but Häkkinen was a fighter. After months of recovery, he slowly began to get better. Many people doubted whether he would ever be the same driver again. They were wrong. Not only did Häkkinen return to Formula One, but he came back stronger than ever. In 1998 and 1999, he won back-to-back world championships, becoming one of the greatest drivers of his generation. Häkkinen's story is proof that sometimes the worst moments in life can lead to the greatest triumphs. From lying unconscious at a trackside medical center to standing on top of the world as a two-time world champion, it's one of the most inspiring comeback stories in all of sports. Martin Brundle, Australia, 1996, the first corner. Flip our final crash takes us back to 1996, and one of the most spectacular first corner accidents in Formula One history. Martin Brundle had just joined Jordan and was excited to make a good impression in his first race with the team. As the cars charged toward the first corner at Albert Park, there was the usual chaos. In the mayhem, Brundle's Jordan made contact with another car and was launched into the air. But this wasn't just a small hop. The car went completely airborne and began flipping end over end. Even more dramatically, Brundle's car flipped completely over the top of David Coulthard's McLaren. The sight was absolutely incredible. One Formula One car was flying through the air, completely upside down, while passing over the top of another car. It looked like something from a video game rather than real life. When the car finally stopped, Brundle was hanging upside down in his safety harness, but incredibly, he was completely unharmed. He climbed out of the wreckage and walked away without a scratch. His first lap with Jordan had lasted less than 2 minutes, but it had given him one of the most spectacular crashes of his career. The evolution of safety. These 7 crashes represent some of the most dramatic moments in Formula One history, but they also tell another story, the incredible evolution of safety in motorsport. Every single one of these drivers walked away from crashes that would have been fatal just a few decades earlier. From Grosjean emerging from a fireball to Joe sliding upside down across Silverstone, these crashes show how far Formula One has come in protecting its drivers. The Halo device, carbon fiber safety cells, improved barriers, and better medical response have all played crucial roles in saving lives. These crashes remind us why we watch Formula One. It's not just about the speed or the technology, it's about human beings pushing themselves to the absolute limit. These drivers are modern gladiators, and their courage in the face of such danger is what makes Formula One the most exciting sport in the world. The next time you watch a Formula One race, remember these crashes. Remember how quickly things can go wrong and how much courage it takes to climb into one of these machines and race at 200 miles per hour. These drivers aren't just athletes, they're heroes. Thanks for watching this incredible journey through Formula One's most dramatic moments, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible Formula One content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest videos, and let us know in the comments which crash surprised you the most. Until next time, keep racing and stay very safe out there, everyone worldwide.